Uncut thoughts, Shay. Big news this week. Maxx Crosby, maybe the biggest move this offseason was him going to the Baltimore Ravens for pick 14 this year and then next year's first round pick from Baltimore. But a big bombshell left us all like, what the fuck happened? Um, the Ravens said, we do not want Maxx Crosby now. So they backed out of the deal, and the Raiders spent so much money, got in some players to help replace Crosby. Then they have the number one overall pick, Mendoza, pick 14, next year's first round pick. In their mind, things were looking up. But the Ravens said, he had a physical. The knee isn't what they thought it was. Long term, I think they were very concerned. Paying an edge rusher all that money when you're really not sure how he's going to hold up with the knee. And they backed out of the trade. So the NFL world was going bananas. If you're on Twitter, you've seen this all over your feed. It was the talk of the day, and it's still continuing now. A lot of people are having opinions on both sides, so I'm going to provide my opinion. I don't blame Baltimore in hindsight because they really lost a lot of guys in free agency, so those first round picks are valuable, more valuable than I'm sure they expected. And it was an all-in move with them not having future picks, higher picks. This move would really need to be the move that made them Super Bowl contenders. And with all the losses they suffered in free agency at tight end, running back, offensive line, defense, I think that they got cold feet. But what made this whole thing even better was the very next day, Trey Hendrickson, who was to many the best available defensive player on the market, who hadn't signed yet, suddenly signs with the Baltimore Ravens. So now the madness is getting even crazier. And now when you see that they got Hendrickson, right? You get Hendrickson and 2 first round picks or Maxx Crosby. I think 10 out of 10 times you're taking Hendrickson in the 2 picks. But everyone is coming at the Ravens. Front offices in the NFL probably are not going to make big moves with the Ravens. They're going to see Ravens incoming call, hang up. This move here changed a lot for not only the Ravens and the Raiders. This move changed a lot for every team that was in the hunt for Crosby because people that wanted Crosby had to settle for other guys on the market. And then a team like the Raiders probably wouldn't have spent that much money and went the direction they did if they knew Crosby was going to remain a Raider. So this is a lot of craziness. Now Maxx Crosby is back with the Raiders, and I'm going to take a look at their end, right? So they seem pretty upset from reports that this happened. Of course, they sent a trade. It got accepted. Everything changed for them. The front office, the way they were going to free agency now, the draft, everything changes for them now. But Maxx Crosby is a top 5 defensive player. I know he had this knee injury at the last 2 games. But if the Raiders feel confident that this knee wasn't an issue, then they shouldn't really worry that you're getting Maxx Crosby loaded up on this defense and in the offensive moves you already had made and your number 1 pick Mendoza, right? So from your end, sure, you're upset, but you're getting Maxx Crosby, right? So did you know something and were you trying to pull a fast one on Baltimore, right? So I'm taking the Raven side on this. Um, one of my buddies said, if you buy a house and it fails inspection and needs things fixed, are you going to proceed to buy it, or are you going to ask, to renegotiate the contract, the deal, or are you just going to back out, right? You have other options. And in the NFL, you can back out, right? That's why they have these physicals. As a Celtics fan, Isaiah Thomas, remember when we traded him for Kyrie Irving? He goes to the Cavs. Guy's back was done for. I'm sure they wish they could have went back, right, and not done that trade. So the Ravens are just protecting themselves, protecting valuable assets, and then you lose Crosby, but you get Hendrickson. I'm not saying Hendrickson is Crosby, not at all. Sure, he may have had more sacks over the last X amount of years, but Crosby does everything. He stops the run. He attacks the quarterback. He is a leader, a vocal leader. He's a dog. You cannot just get that anywhere, right? So the Raiders now, you can't be too upset. You're getting Crosby. You're in a rebuild, of course, but I think this is probably the best defense Crosby's going to play with. And the football gods have spoken. Crosby is meant to be a Raider for life. Now, there's still a possibility that he can get traded, right? He can go to one of these other teams that were interested, but now you're not getting those picks, right? You're not getting 2 first-round picks for Crosby now. The knee issue is out there. Teams are going to be nervous. The fans are going to be nervous. They're going to fight back. They're going to be vocal. Crosby's best option and the Raiders' best option right now, so they don't get lowballed, is to stick with Crosby. He's 28 years old. I would say he's at the end of his prime, but still has some good ball left in him. And for the Ravens, don't expect people to answer your call. Ride out with what you have. I do feel the Ravens are a top 3 team in the AFC. Still, I think for them, they feel relieved. I'm not sure how the fans feel. When this news first broke that Crosby was going to the Ravens, I put them as the favorites to win the AFC. Camera difficulties. I had them as the favorites to win the AFC. They got a dog, but that was before free agency happened, and they lost a lot of key guys. So cold feet definitely happened here. I respect both sides of the opinions that are coming in. Will Compton is very vocal right now that he hates how the Ravens address this. But you have to look at the Ravens side, and I personally feel like they made the right move here, getting out of something that, see if it's comfortable. You're better off just getting out of it. So just wanted to break that news. Craziness. The NFL season never dies. It's 24/7. Best sport in America, in my opinion. And yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the likes, the subscriptions. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. I'm your boy.